I heard a loud boom. And my first thing, I was right at the desk there on the left-hand side when you come into Tower 1. And I walked out, you know, I didn't go out. I walked to where all the doorway was, the glass was broken, and I looked out, and I seen in the building across the street, I seen the shadow coming, I seen just the shadow in the building across the street coming down. And with that, I thought it was one, so I didn't want to run out. So I just turned around, run, and we all started running in. And we came around, and we made a left there, most of us anyway, and then I just, as soon as I felt it was like a freight train hitting my back with the air and the debris and the dust.
I think I pushed you or some other people around the corner of a wall. And at that point, the whole lobby area and the area that we were in went black, to the point you couldn't see the hand in front of your face.
Our whole building just started shaking, like violently, like even like being on a train or something, you know? Like, I've never been in an earthquake, but maybe something similar to that, you know? It was like, you know, you're moving like this, and we just all looked at each other. Actually, we were 20 feet from the staircase. Actually, we ran back to the staircase. Maybe thought that was the safest place to be, in a staircase, because it's more solid. Or, we didn't know what to think. My thought was that maybe the building was coming down on us at that point. I didn't know. I really didn't know what to think.
The building shook. I bounced off one wall of the hallway to another on the wall of the hallway on the opposite side. The lights went out. We saw some dust, debris coming down from the B and C stairwell. Some of the ceiling panels fell. Just the emergency lights were on, which is the lights in the hallway. And like a fool, I thought it was just a localized collapse.
30th floor. We hear another explosion. We hear somebody on the radio say the 64th floor has come down into the 63rd floor. So we said, okay, that's what it was. I don't know if that's what it was. At no time did we know the other building collapsed. We never knew the other building collapsed. Had we known it, we would have immediately evacuated.
And I remember telling the guys, this is not a good situation. We're in trouble here. We collected ourselves, and it was very quiet after that. There was nothing more on the radio. And I remember saying to the guys, well, we're on our own now.
It stopped after maybe 30 seconds. We knew we were still alive, so we're just like, well, what's the next thing we do? And we were just going to start going back up again. And we started to go back up again. And a mayday was given to evacuate the building.
I know we had to get out. I heard the chief screaming, and from the tone of his voice, I knew that it was no normal thing. I knew it was time to leave. And as I got down the floor, it was such a long walk, 21, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13.
From that point on, we went down the stairs. There was still some civilians in the stairs, not that many, but I told them that we have to leave now. And I was going down the stairs. I could remember a fireman resting on the landing and telling them, you know, we've heard a mayday, get out of the building. And I don't think a lot of them, I know for a fact, did not take it serious.
It was like one of those dreams where you were almost there. Because I had this inside feeling that something was going to happen. When I got about to 3 or 2 is when I started to think of my family, you know. So I got to get out of here.
When we got out to the lobby, it was unbelievable. Nobody was around the command station. There was nobody at the command station. It looked like the end of the world. It looked like ruins all over the place. I said, oh my God. I said, you know, what happened out here, you know? We got out the building, the tower was gone. I was in shock again. I was in shock the whole time. It was unbelievable.
The best way to describe it is like a lunar landscape. Powder, crushed cement. Now, mind you, the scene that I just ran up through an hour ago or 45 minutes ago was a carnage scene. It was a scene of bodies and destruction and really horrific things. You know, well, everything that terrorism is what was there. And then when I came back down, it was a dreamy, quiet place. There was not a person there. There was powder on the floor. And for a second, I actually thought to myself, I said, am I still here? I said, am I gone? Because that's how quiet it was. You couldn't hear a thing. You couldn't hear a thing.
When I got outside, I saw to the left was the Marriott, and I saw it was totally just crushed. I mean, and I'm figuring, and there was just debris all over the street. I mean, it was like something out of a scene from a war or something. It was, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, it was something I'll never, ever forget.
And with that, I turned around and looked up, and all of a sudden, the Tower 1 just started coming down. And I started running down the West Side Highway. You know, and I'm looking up, I'm like, how the frick am I gonna outrun the World Trade Center?
And I heard the rumbling coming down. It was like a landslide. Just, I watched the floors just one hitting the other, crushing down, pancaking all the way down. Just every floor hit, just smoke kept pushing out all over the place. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was running and watching this cloud of smoke chasing me up West Street. And I said, I can't outrun the smoke. I don't think anybody can. It's coming up pretty quick.
And then it started coming down. The shit started raining down. And now I thought I was going to be buried alive. I didn't know how much rubble was going to be on top of me. So I stood on top of the concrete barrier thinking that as the stuff came down, I could keep getting higher.
I wasn't sure what's happening yet, but then I started getting hit with pieces of debris. It felt like I was getting hit, like punched and hit in the back and stuff. And then after a couple of seconds, I got hit with something in the head, knocked off my helmet. And then I figured, all right, I now have to try to get up and get out of the area, because now I can't. Now I have nothing protecting my head. So I tried to get up and walk away, walk north on West Street, but then I got knocked down again with some debris.
I was frozen for a second or two, actually frozen, in amazement. This can't be happening. This can't be coming down. The Twin Towers are coming down? They blew them up last time. They didn't come down. I started running, carrying my mask, my gear. I'm tired from climbing 30 floors. I'm tired from coming down 30 floors. And I'm running, made about a half block, turn around and look. There was nobody behind me. Kept running, about another half a block, turned around, and it was gaining on me. I said, I can't outrun this. I just dove on the floor. I thought about going under a car, trying to get under a car, but I said to myself, if a piece of steel comes down and hits a gas tank, that's not good. So I just dove into the middle of the street and just covered up. I got hit initially with a blast of hot air, and I truly expected a fireball to be coming next. I expected to be incinerated in the street. After about 15, 30 seconds, I got up on my knees, felt my hands, I had them, stood up, had my legs. I guess everything was intact. It was dark, black, pitch black. It was like midnight. I took my first breath of air, and it was like my face was buried in sand. I just inhaled a mouthful of dust and swallowed it. Dust. started choking, put my face piece on, that was full of dust. I shook that out, put it to my face, and that helped. That did help. I had my flashlight with me. I just started to keep heading north. I had no idea where I was going. It was pitch black. I could hear car alarms going off. And I just kept heading north.
The stuff kept coming down, and my head got banged up a little bit. And then once I heard it stop, I said, okay, you're all right. You're still alive. But it was pitch black. I mean, I've been in fires where you can't see anything. And this was just blacker than black.
I felt pieces of brick or cement or dirt or whatever it was bouncing off my helmet. It was bouncing off my back. And I'm waiting. I was saying, this is it. I'm not going home today. I thought I was going to die. That was it. And I thought about my wife.
I was terrified, and at that point, consumed with the thought of, you know, my family and my kids and my wife just saying, you have to find a way to get by this because you can't die out here. You can't.
And then after about 4 or 5 minutes, I saw it was as if somebody was shining a light on top of you. And I looked up, and it was the sky.
I'm thinking, oh my God, where's my guys? They were in there. I'm trying to call them. I'm going nuts. Where's my guys? Where's Seven? Where's the captain? Where's Damien? Where's Jamal? Where's Zoda?
Just trying to find other people from other companies. And everybody was asking about everybody else. Did they make it? What floor were you on? What was the last floor that you made that you saw other people that made it? So we just try to get an indication of who made it, who did not.
I just wanted to know where Steve was. And then I was thinking, Jesus Christ, he's not going to be around the firehouse anymore, you know? And I kept screaming for him. And screaming and screaming. And then I saw Steve. About 15 minutes later, he came down West Street. And I was so happy to see him. He gave me a big hug. And then I guess, then you're just concerned for everybody else. There was not much you could do.
You know, and that's the saying in the fire department. It's all about going home. What you do is very special, but you have to go home. A lot of us didn't make it home that day. So, hugging my children, happiness made me probably just as sad thinking of the guys I knew that weren't gonna get home. So it was like a double-edged sword. So it made it hurt all the more.